Hello everyone, back for another doll repair video, and today we're going to be doing another neck repair. So I have here's our candidate. So this is a 2004 My First Ballet Lesson, or is it My First Ballet Lessons? I don't remember. It's either Lesson or Lessons, but she's a basic ballerina Teresa doll from 2004. And you can already see her neck is broken, so this is a solution that you could do, just jam it down onto the neck. That's what I've seen a lot of people, like a lot of children do, but it stretches the neck hole out and creates a bulge in some parts of the head and makes it look really weird. So we don't want that, so we're going to be repairing her neck. And I'm going to show you some examples of dolls that I've done like a ton of videos like this before, but people seem to like them, and I feel like if I put enough videos like this out there that people will eventually see them, and then they can know how to properly restore their Barbies. And I could also work on like other Mattel dolls. I've repaired Bratz dolls like this. So like here's another one. Her head's down like this because I'm waiting for the glue to dry. But I did actually repair her just now. So you can see her neck chipped right here. Which I did it myself, actually. It was cracked really bad already. So I just yanked it and it came right out. So I was like, I might as well already break it off because it's already going to come off anyway. But that way I was able to get in there with the super glue. And I've tried to glue her neck joint. I couldn't take the neck joint out to try to glue it in place. But I just put a ton of glue in there. So hopefully it stays. But this is the most effective way to keep your doll's neck from breaking ever again. By gluing the neck joint in. A lot of people will glue it in to where it can still pivot. I'm telling you, it will eventually crack and break again. You can rebody the doll, but that body will eventually crack and break as well. So at some point, you're gonna have to do some kind of repair on Barbie's neck, because the plastic their bodies are made of, this... I remember like Marina on Pop and Atelier, on her channel, she referred to this as like a porcelain plastic. And it definitely seems like a ceramic. It's not ceramic, but it's a lot like it. So this material can eventually get really brittle and break and chip and stuff like that. So it will eventually happen to pretty much all Barbie dolls. So, I mean, you can delay it by keeping them in a cabinet, but if it's dolls you're going to be playing with, if they're play dolls like this one is, then they'll eventually break. There's no question. They will eventually crack and their necks will potentially chip. So here is one that I have repaired to where the joint could still move, and as you can see, if it'll focus in, if I push on her neck joint, you can kind of see that it is already cracking right here again. So I will have to eventually take this piece off again that chipped out, get the neck joint out, sand it down, glue this all back together, and I will have to seal this neck joint in place to where it cannot move. But In my opinion, I would rather sacrifice neck articulation for durability. This method of neck repair will ensure that your doll doesn't crack or break ever again. Here's another example. This is one I tried. This is a Palm Beach Teresa. It's really common on like Indonesia bodies over time. But as you can see, this one cracked in multiple places and chipped. The neck joint does not move anymore. I have glued it in. But you can see her neck was pretty busted. She was fine for about the first few years that I had her, and then randomly one day I went to move her head and her neck pieces just chipped without me even doing much to it. So same with Leah. I have a Palm Beach Leah doll here. She has been through, well, I don't even know what all she's been through because she was pre-owned. Like when I got her, she was pretty trashed when I found her. So it's taken me a lot of work to get her looking this good. Like she was almost bald. She had a piece of her nose bitten off, and I kind of sanded it down so that it made it smoother. She had part of her ear bitten off. Her arms are all loose. Her hands were chewed on. I've repainted parts of her bathing suit with nail polish because there was a lot of paint that was scratched off. And her feet were chewed as well. So she's been a work in progress, but it's taken a lot to get her to look this nice because she was pretty trashed looking before. But here's her neck. Of course, her neck joint is sealed in place, but I kept repairing her neck over and over and over again so that I could get the articulation to work, and it just kept breaking. Eventually I glued it in place and her neck never chipped again. Like I've had her glued like this for years and years and years now, and yeah, she has never broken again. So and yeah, at one point her shoulder, like my dolls were in storage, I went through the container they were in and I had seen that her whole shoulder was missing. And then her arm was lost. So the story behind that was I found another arm, glued it on. Or I put the arm in and glued the shoulder back on. Eventually I found her arm, so I had to break this again. And then it broke. If I can, yeah, it broke up here. So, but I eventually got her all back together and with her original arm on. So, but yeah, she's been through quite a lot, but I can tug on that all day and nothing is going to happen. So, without further ado, we're going to get into the neck repair. Enough of my babbling, but yeah. This is just my solution for fixing broken doll necks. So yeah. And I've seen it happen before where people rebodied their dolls and eventually that neck broke as well. It's happened to me. The neck on one of the dolls I rebodied, it was onto a newer body. And they make Barbie bodies out of a cheaper plastic than they used to. So the dolls have started to crack a lot earlier than they normally would. So yeah, it's just inevitable. The necks are so tiny and fragile that they will eventually crack and break. It's kind of inevitable. You see this a lot on like 80s, 90s Skipper dolls with the smaller body. I recently saw someone unbox a Mary-Kate and Ashley doll. This is a perfect example of that. So here's a Mary-Kate and Ashley doll. This doll, she is an Indonesia-made one. I'm not seeing any cracks yet. But literally, the Mary-Kate and Ashley doll they unboxed Like they, and in the box, this whole back portion of her neck had chipped off. This technique can work for them too, so. But a lot of Skipper dolls from the 80s and 90s that have this shorter body, the neck is even tinier on these. So you can imagine that it's going to break a lot easier over time. But this, as long as you still have the pieces to the neck, even if you don't. So this one, I actually had to replace her neck. This is a Palm Beach Leah, another one that, this was my first one. I'm still in the process of rerouting her. So I've only rerouted half her head, but I did have to replace her neck joint. But I lost the pieces to there. But I was able to glue the neck joint in, and it doesn't move, so I will probably build up some more glue. You can actually build up glue, like some people have used acrylic nail filler, stuff like that. There's tutorials of how to do that. But yeah, it's in the back, so you're not really going to be able to see it. But yeah, if you've lost those pieces, in that case you might have to rebody if you can't find the pieces. Or if you've lost this neck joint. People have asked me in the comments about this neck joint, like what if I don't have the neck joint? You'll probably have to try to find another one. I've been saving up neck joints. There's actually a way to 3D print these. There's like, I saw a while back there was a model someone made of this Barbie neck joint for, it was the 80s neck joint, so it doesn't have the hole in there. But you can, apparently you can 3D print these, so that's always an option to replace the neck joint. But yeah, it's just very important to try to keep the little pieces that chip off the best you can. So this is how bad she broke. And you can see, I'm not sure if you can tell, but I did glue her at one point. So there should be some like little glue residue on there. So yeah, I glued her at one point to try to salvage the articulation, but she eventually cracked and broke again. So I've stored the pieces inside her head, and that's why she was smashed down under her body. The way you can fix this hole to where it shrinks back up is some boiling water. You just dunk the lower part of her head in boiling water, and this will shrink right back up. So, but yeah, her neck joint is actually inside her head, as well as the little pieces. So yeah, there's little pieces that broke. You do not want to lose those. It can be very tedious because those little pieces do like to go flying across the room. So now how you get the neck joint out is you wait for this piece, the bottom piece, to come out. I have a screwdriver. I'm gonna need my super glue. Yeah, so you can just get a screwdriver, put it through that hole, pop it right out. I have cut the prongs off, as you can see, so there's usually some like hooks. So that's what the neck joint looks like now, but there's usually some little hooks on it that keep it from, it's supposed to keep children from being able to pull the head off. Let me see if I can show you. I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm gonna like pull this one's head off. How I do that is just, I have a video of how to like body swap dolls. So you basically push the neck down, or push the head down to stretch the neck hole out a little bit, make the flange come out. And sometimes you'll get little hairs that will hook around. But yeah, that is essentially what a regular neck joint looks like with the hooks on it. So usually I just cut it off from like right here. From that point, you don't want to cut the peg in between this flange piece and the disc that goes in there, because then the neck joint will be cut in half. So yeah, you don't want to do that. And then to put the head back on, I just push down, twist a little bit, and she's back on there. So without further ado, I just had to get all that out of the way because a lot of people ask me about things like that a lot. Ah, there it is. Yeah, see, I wasn't paying attention, and I kind of, then I forgot where the neck joint was. So yeah, you definitely want to know where everything is. So I'm gonna get my nail file out, because yeah, her neck joint is getting sealed in place. I'm not going to repair her so that she can pivot anymore, because I want to make sure that she is durable. And the reason you have to sand this is because you can see how shiny that is, and the glue is just going to slide right off that. So that is why we want to sand it. So you're basically going to sand it from this point all the way around, where it's going to be touching the inside of the neck. You can see I used my teeth at one point to bite it out. So yeah, I didn't have a screwdriver on hand, so I just like bit it out, and then it kind of left a mark on it. I've done that quite a few times. So yeah, we're just going to sand. To get rid of that glossiness. And that's going to ensure that the glue grabs onto the neck joint a lot better. So my camera keeps wanting to go out of focus. So yeah, we're just going to sand it. So yeah, sorry if it goes out of focus. My camera is spazzing out. But you kind of get the idea. You get the idea of how to repair. Or you kind of get the idea of how to what I'm doing, like sanding this down. So you kind of know what's going on. Okay, so that looks good. So you can see it's not glossy no more. I will actually probably do a thumbnail. So yeah, there we have that. That will probably be the thumbnail for the video right there. So I'll probably do that, and then a side by side. So I'll have to screenshot that, but then have her head back on all repaired. I've had to do that numerous times. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this back in there. So it's snapped back in there. And I'm going to get my super glue. You definitely want to make sure you're using new super glue, like super glue that's not like super old, that you've had lying around for years. You definitely want it to be more recent, because super glue does eventually expire, if you didn't know. And the only thing super glue is going to do when it expires is it's not going to dry out or anything. It's just not going to be as strong when you use it. So I'm literally going to put glue all over the neck joint. It would help if this would focus. So I'm going to twist it and put glue over on this side of the neck joint. You'll have to excuse any noise in the background, because I live with my family and they're kind of loud. But yeah, you just basically want to try to get this neck joint in as straight as possible. Because if you don't, your doll's gonna be looking, like you don't want your doll's neck to be like stuck like that permanently where her head's to one side. You want her to be like facing upward like that. So you need to get it as straight as you can. But like if you didn't have these pieces, like it's not broken so bad to where, like when her head goes on, it's gonna cover that right there. Sometimes you could move it down a little bit so you could position the neck joint down if it actually does show. So she will be looking slightly down, but it will cover it a lot better. So now I'm going to now I have to figure out which way it broke, which this is always fun. Trying to figure out exactly how it broke. Okay, so it looks like that is probably how it broke. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to put glue right on top of it. And yeah, her neck isn't going to look exactly perfect. After you're done, it's not going to look like brand new. It is kind of going to look like a piece of crap after you're done, but it should hold. But yeah, it is very much like putting a puzzle together, like puzzle pieces. So I'm going to try to get this one in there. Yeah, it is very much. Yeah, see the little pieces? They get lost so easily. So I will come back when I have the piece on and get ready to glue it on. Okay, so I had to kind of push it in there. I had to use this, and I kind of like had to shove it in there. See, I must have glued it in like wrong, but it's hard to tell which direction it was supposed to be properly glued in, and it was even harder because it was previously glued. So it had broken once before, but this should be fine. I'm gonna put glue on top of this. And put some down in there. So yeah, it's not perfect, but it doesn't matter anyway, because once she goes back onto her body, the rim of her, like her neck hole and everything, will be covering all of this. So, well, it doesn't look perfect. You're not really gonna be able to see it anyway. So, this one's one of my less polished. Sometimes I'm able to get the neck to look very closely like it was when it was new. But it all depends on how the pieces broke. So I'm going to put a bunch of glue down in there. So I'll probably have to come back with a part 2 of this video, because it's going to take a while for the glue to dry. So, but you get the idea of what I'm doing. I'm going to try to kind of push it. Yeah, it's pretty much sealed in there now. So, yeah, it doesn't look that great. But it is sealed in there now. So, and I will show you some other one. Well, I showed you the other one, but I'll show you again. So yeah, this is the one I recently did earlier. So yeah, this one I was able to get it glued almost like you can see the crack right there. And of course there's the seam over on the side where they glued the two pieces of the body together. So yeah, that's what this long seam down the middle is where they molded the front part of the torso or the back and then the front, and then they stuck them together. So yeah, that's all that seam is. But yeah, that's how nice I was able to get hers to look. Then I just put a bunch of glue around just to kind of as extra protection. So yeah. So I guess I'll just demonstrate on this one, you know. That's how the head can go back on, of course. The neck hole will have to be shrank with boiling water. But yeah, this is one that I did earlier, like right before making this video. And you can see her neck. Yeah, look at that. Look how durable that is. So she can only turn left to right. But that is really, really durable now. So, and of course she has a special body because she has a tattoo on her. Some people don't like these, but she's also got the beach feet. So like if you wanted to keep these and then keep her original tattoo, yeah, you're gonna have to repair her body because you're not just gonna be able to go out and find another body like this with the tattoo. So, and it's special because it is all like metallic and everything. So like you could paint one of these on another body, but it's not going to be the exact same type of paint or whatever. So, and it's not going to look as nice as the factory did it. So I'm just going to save her body because of her unique, she has a unique body. Or like with this one has a body where she has mechanisms that move. So yeah, she has a mechanism that makes her arms move. So yeah, while you could replace her body, she won't have the same, like she has a special kind of body, so that won't be as easily replaceable. So, but yeah, I'll probably make a part 2 with her, all put back together with her head on. It's already starting to dry, like I can already tell. But I don't want to put her head on right now because the glue is still wet, and then she will have a glued on head, and I don't want that. That used to be my solution for some of my Barbies with broken necks when I was a kid. I would just glue their head on. But of course later on in life, I discovered that some of them had missing hair plugs, their hair was damaged. Maybe there was an outfit that I wanted to get on them that had the loop that goes around and required you to take the head off. So at that point, the head was glued on, so I couldn't reroute them or do anything like that. So yeah, you definitely don't want to super glue the head on. That's definitely not the way to go. I mean, if it's a Barbie that you don't really care about, like if you're just going to donate the doll and she's kind of not really a special one, I guess, like just a standard Millie doll, I guess, like if you had one of those that broke, then I don't know, like if you were going to give it to your little, like these Barbies, you don't exactly want to give them to little children, the ones that are broken. Like this is why I don't like people giving their children, like, you know, they'll go to a thrift store and they'll buy a bag of Barbies for like $1 or something, and they don't know how old they are or whatever, and then let's say they get some of these early 2000s or 90s ones and the necks break like this, that's a hazard because now you have all these sharp pieces. So these aren't exactly play dolls anymore. These are, in my opinion, they're more for a collector, like someone who's going to be collecting for nostalgic purposes or whatever, because, you know, these older Barbies, the older they get, the more of a hazard they become. So potentially you could give your children the dolls if they've been repaired like this. So if they've already been repaired and the neck joint is good to go and all that, this potentially would be a Barbie that a child could play with. So if you're willing to go through the process of repairing the neck, then and you can get it durable like this again, then this is potentially a doll that a child could play with, because she will, like my Palm Beach doll, both of them, I've had them repaired for years and they haven't chipped or broken again. So yeah, that's just my advice on that. That's just my instructions on how to do that, like how to make the doll have a more durable neck so they don't break as easily, because you have to think these necks are very tiny, like versus, like I have one of these Max Steel dolls from my childhood. The plastic on this is much thicker. The reason there's super glue on this is because I had glued, because the neck joint did break on one of these. So I had glued the head on. So I just put super glue around after I sanded the previous stuff off to make it look smoother. So that's why I did that. But this is a thicker plastic because neck is thicker and all that. So with a doll like this, it's not going to break as easily. But the smaller the neck is, the more easier it is going to be to crack and chip and all that. So you just have to be mindful that, and it's not just Mattel dolls, like Disney dolls, it could happen to. A lot of Hannah Montana dolls I had, it was notorious for happening to my Hannah Montana dolls. It can happen to Bratz dolls. It can, now that Rainbow High dolls have neck articulation, like they don't have the heads that move side to side anymore. It could potentially happen to Rainbow High dolls, OMG dolls. The older they get, the more they're gonna start to break down. So that is just something to having, even like Silkstone Barbies. Like, I have a Silkstone Barbie, but she has a different body. She was a gift to me. But when I got her, she was on a holiday Barbie body. And that's because the person that gave her to me said that her original body broke. So even Silkstone Barbies can break. So, and those are supposed to be some super expensive, high quality dolls right there, so. But I'm just showing you the benefits of repairing the doll's original body. That's basically the objective of this tutorial, is to show you the benefits of trying to fix the body to the best of your ability. But yeah, you can see the glue is already drying in there. Yeah, there's still some parts of the glue that are wet, so I don't want to put her head on yet, so yeah, but yeah, it looks like a piece of crap, but her neck joint is in there now. So ideally you wait for the glue to fully dry, so, but it's in there. And when I put her head back on, more than likely it'll cover all of this breakage, like all the shattered bits. So anyhow, that is my video on another neck repair. So I will more than likely come back with a part 2 on how, or of her with her head back on after the glue is dried and everything. Okay, everyone, so here is the finished results. Her neck has pretty much fully dried, and as you can see, because of the way I positioned her neck joint, you can't see the cracks unless you do this. But even then, it's very minimal. And the glue pretty much filled in a lot of the cracks and everything, so it doesn't look so dark. So yeah, and so while she can only turn side to side now, she is good to go. So yeah. Next I'll probably be doing something like boil washing her hair and recurling it, because it's looking a little bit scraggly here and there, so a boil wash will sleek everything out and make her hair look new again. So anyhow, that's my video over this doll having her neck repaired. See, I probably will have to go back in because of how bad it was when I glued it in. So you can see how it's sticking out right there. So I'll probably have to sand that down a little bit. But I'll do that later on. But yeah, that is pretty much how her neck dried. So, yeah. And surprisingly enough, well, her neck hasn't been broken for very long. Like her neck hasn't been, like she hasn't been smashed down onto her neck for very long. So her neck hole is actually starting to shrink up on its own. So I might not have to do the hot water dunk on her. But now the lovely ballerina Teresa is good to go. So anyhow, thank you guys for watching. And more videos come. Remember to stay true to you.